able, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one. Working hella hard until I get just what I want, yeah. Rises like the sun, yeah, fatal like a gun. Shooter's gonna shoot and I'm gonna shoot until I fall, yeah. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine, yeah. Everything I do, I'm just being genuine, yeah. I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline, yeah. I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me.
Loose. Maybe it is a comms thing. Maybe it's the fact that they have to bring up all these players who are playing in different regions with different metas and different styles, and they have to bring that together. But if they can just get past that boulder, the skill on this team, it has a very high ceiling.
We've got so many different stories with the different teams out here, but a good amount of the teams, and not even just the Korean ones, are that they are almost like a brotherhood, right? They've been around each other for a long time. Occasionally there's one or two new additions to the teams, but this time around, I'd say especially with Global Esports, I'm excited to see what they can possibly do and what they can deliver. But as you were saying, William, you know, it is so important that they don't make themselves their own worst enemy. This is going to be, you know, not just a matter of can they execute their strats, their comms, and do what they need to do. It's going to be a matter of, you know, self-mastery here, going up against a team like T1. And, you know, one thing we do know about T1 in every game they've ever had is that they always have excellent coaching. They know how to groom and grow the best players possible in the world.
Yeah, they actually just added some coaching staff as well post lock-in, so curious to see if that has made some drastic changes to basically how crisp they look. Quite frankly, at lock-in, they were playing very default heavy and just working off of kind of situation-based trading rather than having some set plays. Whereas Global Esports, again, that's why I give them the slight edge, is they did have certain set plays ready. They had a playbook. It just wasn't quite deep, and then there were some cases where some of their players would overheat just a bit too much. So I think Global Esports, at least based on lock-in performance, they have a slight edge in terms of starting line. But again, it's been a month, and both teams have had some roster changes at least for today's match, right? We see some new additions coming up on stage in the form of Ronsky, now representing Oceania here on the Global Esports roster, and then Intro on T1.
So we've got the first ban here. It's going to be Fracture. We should note, and we mentioned this in the previous best of three, but it's probably worth mentioning for the next even week or two here with the Korean teams, is that they do tend to want to default on the maps they've played the most. Right, they want to wait for the maps that are fresher, that are newer. A lot of times they'll save those for later. Ooh. We'll see if that's going to be the case this time around.
I'm curious about this. I wonder if it's simply that T1 just don't feel that they've had enough time to work on the new split yet, because while Global Esports did pick it at lock-in, It didn't look good, okay? I'm just going to say it like it is. They looked like they had a tough time against Vitality. So curious to see that T1 still bans it out, knowing that Global Esports at least feels comfortable on that map enough to pick it.
It's also possible there are mind games going on we can't even quite follow because there's so many matches that have to be played here. It's possible they have certain strats or plays they're saving for other teams that maybe they feel like they can, get away with this best of 3, or maybe on another map they want to try something else out here. First pick is going to be going to Pearl.
All right, I mean, this was the map they had a win on, right, for Global Esports. They were able to win that second set, and they looked good on it. And this was another, and I'll even say, I mean, this was something that Aaron and his teammates continued to look comfortable prior when he was on X set as well. So I think there's just some comfort in terms of set plays and in terms of calling. And then Haven going to be T1's pick. Again, it seems like T1, they want to stick to kind of the more traditional maps that have been around a while,
right,
where even if they haven't had as much time to work on set plays, every player is kind of used to their own position here on this map.
Yeah, a lot of times Koreans will go for kind of more of a comfort opening instead of maybe trying to be creative and maybe playing some of that more experimental stuff, whether that even be with maps or even with agents, to save that for later on. So the Haven pick, not shocking. I think T1's going to be a tough opponent on that as well.
Lotus is still left open, right?
Yeah.
Hasn't been banned yet. We'll see if it comes through on the second ban, but I think both teams might be playing a little bit of chicken, looking at Global Esports wanting to ban out Ascent. Again, a very traditional map, but also one that does rely kind of heavily on certain operator plays and things like that. So Global Esports going to be taking that away from T1 and Icebox ban. Okay, well, that leaves Lotus. So
we're going to go to Lotus, okay.
If we get to a map 3, we're going to see what these two teams have cooked up here on Lotus. Global Esports did play Lotus at Lock-In as well, but again, the maximum we saw it from most teams was once, and it was a one and done at Lock-In. So the meta still very much a question mark here for Lotus.
Yeah, well, the good news is I think it is realistic we do go to a game 3 here, so I think we're going to get to explore the way these teams play on all 3 maps.
That'd be very exciting. And all 3 maps very different in terms of style as well. Even though Haven and Lotus are both 3 sites, Lotus, I would say, is even more attacker-sided, does lead to a bit more of a chaotic playstyle, just given the entry points for each site. They're a little bit tighter than they are in Haven. So I'm curious to see how each team has really broken down their own translation of each of these 3 maps.
And in a second here, we're going to be going into the agent selection, so we, got to see, are we going to have anything crazy, anything that's out there? Earlier on in the last best of 1, we had some pretty vanilla stuff coming here, so I've got my fingers crossed. We maybe even have a Gecko pick.
Yeah, I almost forgot that Gecko's in on this patch right
Gecko,
now.
it's like, who's that? Who's the guy with the short hair? What's that?
Well, I mean, T1 is picking the much more current meta, right, with Harbor and Viper. So they're going with the same picks we saw actually from Zeta Division with Carpe on that Sky instead of the Silva. So that's a big change, right? We've only seen Carpe really playing that Silva. Now he's picking up the flashes, so he's going to have to be even more in tune with the team. Meanwhile, in Global Esports, they're going to favor the KO and the Fade, so the double initiator, and then the Astra. So a bit of a kind of previous patch meta here, but nonetheless, in terms of theory, double initiator, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we got texture on Jet again, something, if you've been watching the cast here from this studio for a while, we've definitely seen him on that agent quite a bit, and so this is going to be a fun one. We are moments away from getting started and going into this on our first map.
That's right. I do think our casters are ready. Let's toss it over to Paper Thin and Achilleos. Take it away.
Yes, indeed, we are ready. Thank you guys so much for breaking things down and setting the stage for this matchup. Here we are, and it's time now for Global Esports versus T1. Now, quickly before we jump into this game, gotta point out, we got 3 players on the side of T1 whose competitive careers in FPS began on this very stage, all the way back in Overwatch Apex run by OGN. You've got Carpe, you've got Saya Player, you've got Munchkin. These guys have been on this stage before. They have played in front of incredible crowds, and they find themselves now back home where it all began.
Did Batsy?
Batsy as well, I suppose. But actually, no. He was
I'm not sure.
I believe he was Contenders. He wasn't playing during that era, I don't believe.
I was curious. I actually obviously don't know too much about that compared to you, so I'm really curious. But I mean, a really exciting matchup because there isn't a ton of tape on the current iterations of these teams, even before they made changes after lock-in. So not a lot of tape, a lot to prove here between them. And I had a really quick talk with the GE coaches before we came in here, and I just said, hey, what's the game plan for today? What can you tell me? And they said
Nothing.
no. They said, look, we're just trying to focus on ourselves because there's just too many unknowns here. We don't know how set heavy. The desk really talked about this, and I think this is a great point that, you know, we didn't see a lot of set plays out of T1 at lock-in compared to GE. So GE is, I think, more just trying to focus on their own protocols, trying to make sure that everybody's in the right spot, doing the right things at the right time. And my price to pay for getting that info is I have to give a good old, you know, gefighting. All right.
There you have it. Intro for now going to be the lone member here from T1 set up at B. As they start working their way forward. You can see the deep spread here from the side of T1. Still have to wait for a couple of these rotations to come through, but side player is getting himself in behind the squad, but there's a turret set up to catch him on that flank. Should be hearing this now as the plant will be coming down as he gets the spike in.
Turret just got cleared, and that's going to send 2 members of GE towards B main, trying to open up some space, trying to follow up off this, but gets stunned up.
Yeah, the Daze does connect there. Jumping on the corner, Flash comes across. Zayden out, looking for the follow-up kill, and oh man, he's got to get it. The long-range right click of all things. As Aaron now finds himself the last man standing, the Cove needing to be broken, and Intro is just going to hold for this one, and Zeta will find a third. T1 go ahead and kick off with a pistol round victory.
Yeah, this is such a great start here for T1, and the way that they're going to clear backside is so crucial to all of this. Even though they have to sacrifice a player to do it, they send Munchkin through. He's stunned up. He's still following the orders, following the comms of Zeta, and that's a really good sign here for your new IGL, that your players have trust in you to push through even when the situation is bad. A lot of players are going to turn around when that Nova Pulse comes down, stuns you up. Munchkin's like, nope, I'm going to do the dirty job here, and I'm just going to push right in and break some space. You can see there, they even try to lead him with the Trailblazer, but everybody's ready. And then they stun for Zeta, and they pop on through. So really nice retake here for T1. A good start. Let's see how they're going to be able to continue this. And don't leave him hanging. All right, they got it.
They got it. Got to work on that fist bump synergy. But hey, welcome back. The timer's still at 29 seconds. So once again, we're going to have a pistol round, and then we're going to have a tech pause.
Is this what? Deja vu? Is it? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, time is a flat circle. These players are back on the stage they began with. We're back after the first pistol round of a series, and yet again, we're going to have a tech pause. So hopefully, nothing too serious. As soon as we get word as far as what's going on, we will be able to push that info out to you guys, but hopefully, it'll be dealt with quickly, and we can once again get underway, because we don't like to see the momentum get halted. We want to be able to just keep plowing forward and see who takes the lead. But already a solid start here for the side of T1, picking up that pistol. We'll see how they fare, though, moving forward into this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, if this history repeats itself even further into this match, you know, T1's going to look good out the gate for the first, 4 or 5 rounds.
Yes.
And then it all falls apart. So hopefully that's not the case. I think this match and the Talon Team Secret match later on this week, tomorrow actually, should be our 2 best matches of the week. I think in terms of like what we've seen so far in terms of like perceived skill level.
Yeah, exactly. Having them be a little bit more matched. So I'm curious to see how things have gone, because obviously we had a press conference a couple days ago. Got to push some questions over toward Bans, a lot of them specifically around Carpe and how he's been improving and how he's been integrating into the team. And supposedly it has just been an upward trajectory. Even prior to lock-in, we kind of saw that going from the Lebuteric event over into lock-in. Carpe looked exceptional. Now we see him on Sky, so we're curious to kind of zoom in on him a little bit more as this progresses to see how that Sky looks, because he was already looking a bit better, a bit more improved on the Sova as far as figuring out what his timings were.
Yes.
We're looking like and whatnot, how he was reacting to enemy movement. Curious to see how he fares on that. But supposedly things have been moving in the right direction. It's time to prove it.
I was thoroughly impressed with Carpe at lock-in. I mean, I thought he was placing his utility really well. I thought his timings were good. His shots, his shots are the one thing that I don't think are ever going to be in question in my mind, because of his history as an esports player, where he has been well known for his mechanical ability. That is not going to be of any concern to me. It's going to be more about his utility usage and his timings to be a really effective Sova. And what I saw in lock-in was extremely promising.
Yeah, absolutely was. Should hopefully be able to get things underway here in just a quick little moment and see how things are going to fare as we get ready to jump back into this. GE.
Just get everything situated. This is first day, kind of normal, I would say. Things happen. You know, it's the first day with so many things going on here. So, of course, the inaugural day of the VCT Pacific League. So many new players here in Korea. A lot of similar faces, but a lot of new faces from Korea that had journeyed abroad previously and are now back with us. Is super exciting. It's just an absolute treat to have everybody here, to have this caliber of team and player for Valorant in Asia is just stellar. I think, you know, the thing we all are really excited for this year is going to be the upward trajectory of these teams. You know, globally, it's been a struggle at times. Let's just be honest. You know, other than, you know, DRX, PRX, and Zeta, you know, there hasn't been many deep runs, and those deep runs from Zeta and PRX are kind of seem to be maybe blips on the radar. We're not sure if they're going to be able to recreate that success. DRX has been relatively consistent, but you know, the rest of the region has had its ups and downs. So now we want to see these guys all start really playing against each other more, starting to improve as a region, starting to push each other more. And you know, for DRX, they want that too. They want to be pushed. They want to get better. So all of this is just so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're never tested, you're never really going to get that much better. I mean, you hear people talk about it all the times when it comes down to, you know, playing like fighting games and whatnot. You have to have your ass handed to you.
Yeah.
If you're going to get better at a game, if you're going to have the drive to improve at a game. And the DRX, they've been sitting on the top for so very long. I mean, only a handful of people have really ever been able to topple them in history. You know, New Turn, as well as, you know, F4Q delivering them their first ever loss many, many moons ago. And aside from that, regionally, have not had that pressure on Slayers picking up one single best of 3 against them during a round robin.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It needs to happen more frequently here in this league. And if DRX continues to punch down on the other teams, those teams are just going to get better and better.
Exactly. So that's what you need. I mean, the best way to get better is to lose. That's the funny thing. A lot of people don't kind of think about sometimes. It sucks to lose. It's not fun. No one wants to do it. But sometimes the best way to get better is to lose. So you gotta go through the gauntlet. You gotta test your mettle against the best of the best to be the best of the best. It's very rare that you're just gonna come out the gates and be, you know, like Vision Strikers into DRX. Like, very few teams are gonna have sort of that set history that they had, you know, in Counter-Strike, in TAC FPS, to be able to kind of propel themselves naturally into this scene. So this year is just so fun for me. It's such a great learning experience because we get to see so many different iterations of these teams and players. You know, I love the way the desk was talking about it with global esports, because they are global. We get to see so many interesting kind of players and strategies and ideas, and you can see the talent on this team at Lock-In. I mean, you know, Texture, maybe the Korean Jet, you know, quote unquote him or Meteor in my book. Maybe Side Player, who knows? You know, Side Player, unbelievable at times with the guard.
Yeah.
So I'm really keen on this global esports team. I think there could be a real... It sets a future for esports as well if they succeed here, right? That we can have truly global teams, that we can really start to branch out and start to grow beyond our own regions, to start to really be able to bring these communities together.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that experimentation, if you remember, all the way back in 2021 with, was it WGS who picked up, I believe, an import player.
Oh, yes. They brought a player from Thailand?
Imported a player from Thailand, and that was the first time we had ever had an import player on a Korean team. And while these aren't Korean organizations that are doing this global, obviously coming out of India, they're still saying, you know what, we can take these components, we can take Korean players, we can take duelist players, 4 of them, in fact, put them on a team together, have this mixed language, and still potentially make things work. We saw those glimmers over at Lock-In with their performance, being able to take that map off Vitality and looking good doing so. But we want to see that continued growth. I mean, from what we've seen from spending time around this team, you know, especially around the press conference that I was hosting just a couple days ago, you could tell that they are very much leaning into the family aspect around the squad, and it's being felt. Everybody's riffing with each other. Texture's making fun of Aaron. Aaron's making fun of Bazzi, and they're all hanging out together. And I think that one of the biggest things for me that Spin had actually said during the QA was, going in early and trying to eliminate the clicks that can develop between the squads.
I thought that was really smart.
When you do have those Korean players, you know that they're oftentimes going to just, typically they're going to default to sticking around each other because they can speak their natural language, and then they might stray away and not develop as strong of relationships with the rest of the team who might be speaking, Hindi or speaking English, etc. So being able to get in there and just kind of making sure that they're consistently exposed to one another, making sure that they're spending time, that is absolutely paramount to building success and building synergy both in and out of the game. So I really love the way that they've been approaching this. Obviously, there was a ton of questions around, people, myself including, asking, what the hell are they doing in the offseason? When we started seeing this team develop, it's like, this just, like, they've lost the plot. I don't know what's going to happen here. But they actually have been going about it in pretty much every single correct way to make this otherwise unorthodox system and an orthodox roster function properly.
You hit two really great points here that I really want to expand on a little bit because I think we have time. So
There's a reboot.
Yeah.
So there you go.
First of all, it's the way that I'm hearing their coaching staff talk about, eliminating these clicks, making sure that it's a whole team effort. It's not just pockets of players that are trying to play together. Right? It's the whole shebang, and that's absolutely the right process. It's for any team. It doesn't matter who they are. So first of all, the way they talk really impresses me. The way they present themselves as a team really impresses me. It seems like they've got pretty good reads on their ideas. And beyond that, to kind of even further bring that home, is you're talking about they took all these duelists and turned them into, great players in other roles. Well, what's another team that did that?
DRX.
Yeah. So that's, it's been a formula for for success. I mean, it's absolutely just, it seems to be a proven strategy. If you've got players who are cracked at aim, they can learn these other agents and fill in those roles extremely well. Mako and Buzz. Two perfect examples.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, it's still early days. We've only had that single series and a single round here in Pacific so far to make any kind of real judgments, but it seems like the overarching approach from Global is good, and that eventually they should be able to get to that level if they're not already. Time will tell as we are getting ready to go back into the game, I do believe, at least
I see a countdown.
Shortly. The countdown is happening. It's a question of,
is it real?
Is this a test round? Is this the real thing? And it seems like it's going to be the latter. So we will be able to go back into this. Thank you guys for bearing with us as we once again guide you through with our lovely little podcast. This episode brought to you by what's one of our sponsors? Not Louis Vuitton.
HP Omen, Logitech.
Ralph Lauren. It's brought to you by Ralph Lauren. Anyway,
got some nice clothes. I'm super excited. Actually, really nice.
Well, early flash out just to confirm some presence around A. Global Esports not too fussed about it. Just go ahead. Grab the orb, try to feed texture. Now they're going to cut noise. See if maybe they can play around with some misinformation here, but it seems like they will just go ahead and drift back.
Yeah, I like these kind of eco rounds where you're getting the most value out of them that you can. And, obviously you want to win it, but getting the orbs, getting a couple trades where you can, overstack an isolated player, try to see if you can get a kill onto them. That flash is going to confirm that no one is over towards A main. So coming in through Art underneath this is GE. Going to try to sneak underneath the noses. Now there is the alarm bot right in front of them, and that's going to reveal their presence. Let's see if they press the go button.
It does get broken, but they're actually going to cut back through and move over towards water.
I like this.
And then potentially, wrap into that mid link. Seems like that is going to be the case. Intro.
30 seconds left.
The lone guardian here. Spectre in hand, does pull back, is going to be suppressive, cannot throw down a snake bite here. Try to slow them up, but they have the crossfire, and it's into the meat grinder. Saya player will mow down 3, Intro claims 2, and ends up being a flawless round. It's just the anti-eco now out of the way. See how they fare now with GE getting some rifles into their hands.
Well, I liked a lot of the ideas there, but Global Esports just had a better one. Intro here, falling back, and even though he gets hit by that 0 point, that's a pretty big piece of the puzzle to hit, to remove that utility out of that player's hands. Doesn't matter. The crossfire was there, and that's just easy cleanup for T1. Now, I forget, who did you predict here? Who did you out of this match? T1 or GE?
I don't typically like to talk about my predictions.
Too bad it's on Twitter. I can go look.
I did go for T1 here.
Okay.
Admittedly, I think that
I
with
went
the
GE, so
I was expecting that Intro was going to be playing, and I like.
You're a big Intro fan.
Yes, I have been for quite some time. But
I am not as much. I'm still a fan, but not as big as you.
I mean, I was a big fan in 2021. Let's clarify.
He had a moment where he was absolutely insane.
He was looking like the best controller in Korea.
But
I
we
did
get
go
to
for
see
that.
his breach on Haven.
You can see the bite already set up here, trying to catch texture as he drops down off the top of the box. Just a little touch of damage in. Bazzi will be able to safely get the plant across.
Yeah, but tons of info there from the Haunt. It just really makes that easy for GE. They're able to just come through, get the plant down. Now you got to play for retake here as T1, but still some couple big guns there. You still got Side Player with that Vandal. You still got a Bulldog in Zeta's hands, so let's see what they can do.
Flash is going out. Texture going to be full blind there. Bazzi able to find one. Intro pushes forward, does find Ronsky for his trouble. Texture swinging the corner, takes down Carpe, but here's the flank angle from Zeta. Runs out of bullets, Reese swings with the Ghost. Finds the kill, swaps the weapon, Side Player finds Bazzi, and suddenly it's just Aaron left standing. The leader in the IGL, unfortunately, will fall. And they've got just enough time to be able to get the defuse across as T1 will go ahead and close out the bonus.
This is the Zeta that we want to see. This is, you know...
This is what we were lacking.
Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, it's just... This guy at times has really been just so good for Cloud9 when he was on there. Arguably, one of their best players for sure. A phenomenal Sova player who's now being asked to play a lot of different roles. The KO here, now the Harbor, and also IGLing.
Yeah.
So he's putting it to good success, and I'm seeing a lot of confidence from T1. I'm seeing them, again, react to his calls well. They're doing a good job making sure that they're clearing that backside. And this time around versus the pistol round where they kind of just brute force their way through the close side to Heaven, this time around they send Zeta. He's able to wrap through, come from the flank angle, and that sets them up to clear that angle so nicely and so effectively. And T1 takes the bonus.
Yeah, and it seems like we will have Global calling a timeout. So that would be my assumption here, as we'll wait to just get full confirmation on that. But likely going to be the case. I think I just saw a ref give a thumbs up as well, so we should be rolling into that because, I mean, yeah, dropping that third round, not getting kicked back onto another eco without even having those blades available, obviously is not a great position, a great feeling to be going through at the moment.
Yeah, it means you've got enough money for a couple rounds probably because you can, like you're saying, squeak out a Blade Storm if Saya player does fall in the next round.
Okay,
so
it's not a timeout.
Whoop, whoop. Not a real timeout. Well,
it's a tech pause.
It's another one.
It's good to be back.
Are we sure that Bren didn't bring Pansy and Hypoc with him?
I'm fairly
Are we sure? Okay, just checking.
Pretty sure they're back home getting ready for their own stretch to begin.
Yeah, I'm sure. Got everybody kicking off here.
Like I say, we're just we're cursed individuals. Here, paper
We
thin.
are. It's true. Well, people may not realize this. If you weren't watching VCT Korea, for the last couple of years, first of all, shame on you.
Yeah.
Second of all, we had the curse as well. We do carry that burden with us.
Yeah. It be what it do. Not much you can do other than just try to live with it. Maybe we can confer with a Korean shaman or something to see if we can do a ritual.
I like my DRX ritual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lift the curse off of us.
I'm good at that. I think I can cover that now. So when I go home tonight, I'll try to come up with something. I'll try to come up with a ritual to remove this technical pause curse from us.
We literally could hire a shaman. That is a
we
thing
could.
that we could do.
Yeah. No, I know.
For those who don't know,
yeah.
It's actually very commonplace for a lot of, like, when you're building a new building to have it blessed by a shaman still. That's a thing that has happened. This very building, this very studio was blessed by a shaman.
Yes.
When it was constructed, and somebody who was a part of that that ceremony was none other than Faker himself.
Yes.
Was present during the what's the word I'm looking for here?
The christening
the
or
the consecration of it?
That might be right.
I think so. Because if you were going to, like, deconstruct or something, like, you would desecrate a whole religious building.
Consecrate is good. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's the case. But
I mean, bless would be like the simple way to go for it. But I like your word.
I had the word in my head. I just couldn't quite piece it together until the very end. Yeah. But Faker was there during that.
Well, I feel like I'm getting a little bit screwed here because when I was in Japan earlier, a couple months ago, after I went to the
earlier today.
Yeah, I was there earlier today, which actually could be possible. I went to after I went to the Riot event in Yokohama, I went to Mount Fuji,
Right.
with one of my friends who isn't from the area, but he lived there for a long time after initially moving to Japan, and I've known him for quite a long time from back home. Anyway, we went to there's a temple that's right at the base of Mount Fuji. It's the starting point for one of the hiking trails up to the top of Mount Fuji, and I got my fortune there, and I got the best one possible. So my thought was, okay, I've done it. I've lifted, the curse of this. No, apparently that was for other things.
Well, it looks like this time it is a gear issue here with one of the players, so hopefully we can get whatever is causing the issue. I think it might be with Texture's side. Swapped out or fixed.
Yeah,
And we can go on our merry way.
Normal things that happen. This is just
first
day.
It's the first day. I'm sure some people are going to be posting like, lol, Korean production, lol. Work a live broadcast.
Yeah,
and
come out here and try.
Might understand
See how it goes.
that things can be a bit difficult at times. The technology can be a bit testy from time to time.
It's challenging, and that's we've got a lot of great new equipment. Aaron was tweeting about it, how amazing all the monitors and everything here is, how it's the best setup he's ever experienced, and that's great, of course, and it just takes time to kind of make it all work together. And as someone who worked in IT for many years in a previous life, I can tell you that the best laid plans are to fall apart very quickly in the face of random adversity.
Yeah, love to see. I know. I kind of want to. At some point, maybe tomorrow when we come in, I might sneak over and try out one of the PCs because they're playing on 360 hertz.
Oh,
and I've never tried a 360 hertz monitor.
I feel like we need to get like all of us on stage, maybe playing
to a show match.
Yeah.
Us versus the Korean casters.
Oh no, well, we're gonna get wrecked. Binbon is nuts.
That's true. Binbon is pretty sure he's ascended.
Yeah, he's ascended.
So
yeah,
he would probably roll us. I have played against him before
in your
just
queues?
like in-house games.
Oh, okay.
Definitely not my queues.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say.
in like in-houses. And I gotta say his neon is pretty nasty.
Jeez.
But at a certain point, you start just anticipating that he's going to run at you, and then you just buy a judge and then hide on a corner and like a lobby on Haven, and you just wait because you know he's going to come sprinting through, and you just shoot him in the face, and then swap back over to your Vandal.
Pull out the old vanity. Yeah, got it.
Exactly.
I feel you.
Sometimes you got to play like a rat in order to beat somebody who's better than you.
It's a legitimate strategy.
Whatever it takes to find a victory.
That's true.
I will sacrifice everything to make it happen.
Oh, I am the same way. I'll do anything it takes. I don't care how ratty it is. I will do it to win. I am not above any of that.
Yeah. Well, obviously, as we wait for things to get fixed, we will give you guys any updates that we do receive. But for now, the admins are still working away tirelessly on stage to try to get things rectified so that we can carry on our merry way. Because obviously, nobody wants this.
Nobody wants this.
We all just want to. We all want to play
Except
the
for maybe
game.
Tom Biz.
That's
because I know he's doing a watch party, so
I see.
Throwing him under the bus.
And he's laughing at us as we have to sit through this pause.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah.
He'll have a vastly worse one, I'm sure, on his first casting day of EMEA.
I can only hope.
At the end of the day, we might be going through a long pause, but at least we live in a place like Korea,
Dude,
which is awesome.
It is great here.
You can't say that.
It is truly great.
Yeah.
Much, much, much better.
So
I love it here. I can't get over it.
Plus, our league has we have our own song with a nice animation.
Yeah, that's
we got
right.
A sick opening.
Get wrecked, nerds.
We've got a big studio with hundreds of people worth of capacity that we can fill.
It's true. We sold out today.
Exactly.
Tons of people here. Tons of journalists and
we
staff.
have pauses, but at least it looks damn pretty while we're paused.
I had a really nice interaction with a fan during the break here. A very nice guy from China came up and said hi and knew who we were, and he's listening to the cast. So,
nice.
Thank you, David. Appreciate you coming down.
And there's this other guy, this British guy who was here that came up and said hi to me. He had like a mustache and everything. He said he was trying to become a caster.
A caster?
His name was
yeah.
His name was like Ben.
Does he?
Or like Brendan or something like that.
Wasn't he like friends with a bald guy?
Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
Kind of like a white head.
He looked familiar. I think I might have seen him in Sao Paulo as well. So apparently he travels around a lot to see VCT
glasses
events. So yeah, exactly.
Similar to yours a little bit.
I hope it works out for him. I hope on his road to become a commentator.
I hope. I wish him all the best.
Best of luck. I remember when I was in that position, just trying to make it work. Brent is in fact not listening to the cast.
Yeah. He said he could hear us sometimes because
Okay.
during the DRX match, because DRX was just destroying, it was getting quiet. Because there's actually quite a few Zeta fans here as well.
Yeah.
They bought a lot of tickets for today's match, so it got a little quiet in the studio when DRX was kind of pounding a little bit there.
It happens. That, or we might find something more exciting or more fun in Korean casters, so maybe they're being
That's true.
a little more soft-spoken, but we're riled up about something. Either way.
Imagine the world where we're more hyped than the Korean casters. It's hard to do.
Yeah. Well, people always beg for that. Why don't you cast like the Korean casters? Because it doesn't work as well in English.
I just had this very long talk about this on my stream the other day.
Yeah, it's just like a big, cultural difference in the way that information is presented during a game. But I'm being told that we are going to be getting back into things now, as Texture has had his headset back on, and we can continue on our merry way. So fingers, toes, everything crossed to ensure that this does not happen again. But if it does, don't worry. We'll guide you through it, as usual.
Exactly.
More episodes for the podcast. I'm just gonna start clipping things from our broadcast when we have these, and then upload them to Spotify and SoundCloud.
Only tech pauses in the building.
Yeah.
That's the name of our podcast.
Pausecast. Something like, I don't know. Okay, well, I don't think Ronsky knows what hit him.
I don't think many people would be expecting that. Munchkin was just ready.
Absolutely brutalized. Granted, again, this is going to be an eco, dropping the bonus. Blades are picked up here by Texture, was able to get some orbs and charges, but he gets stunned, and as he tries to leap up over the top, Munchkin will just go ahead, snipe him in the face.
Yeah, the utility combo there, so good from T1. A Trailblazer to follow up. Just absolutely destroyed any hope that Texture was going to get any value out of those Blade Storms. Intro here, he's good for it.
Yep.
Clean against Aaron.
Waiting on that lurk. Scoops up the kill again. The push is wrapping around into Art, but once more, there is that alarm bot. So at this point, you suspect that they are both going to be playing together. So as soon as they destroy or trigger this thing, going to know exactly where both players from the side of GE are at. Cutting their way through. Once more, it looks like they're just going to be wrapping around, going for Link. Jump out, and 2 more kills for Intro, finding 3. So a flawless round here. No economic damage dealt here from the side of Global.
And now we start looking at this round as super important for Global Esports. Being down 4-0 already on a map that you had to heavily favor them on, just based on both of these teams' experiences at lock-in. But that being said, kind of something people have to keep in mind is there's been pretty significant changes to T1. Not only with Intro, but with a few coaches. So again, GE, there wasn't a ton they could prep for, so they needed to kind of try to play to their own strengths. Meanwhile, T1, I think, has a little bit of an advantage here, trying to come out with, absolutely a good time for a timeout. T1 could come out here with maybe a little bit of the initiative. They can come out with a few surprises, a few set plays, whereas GE kind of on the back foot because they have a little bit more tape on their players. Obviously, we have Rongski here, but we don't have SK Rossi, so it is a little bit different. But for the most part, you're going to have a pretty good idea of the general thought process. You still have Aaron as the IGL. You don't have a different IGL like you do with T1. So absolutely, I think GE a little bit on the back foot. Let's see if they can use this timeout to kind of change the pace, change the initiative. Yeah,
I mean, mentioning Rossi, one of the things that he had said when he was doing a stint on the desk over at Lock-In was, he was talking about when your IGL is finding kills, when the IGL is fragging, and how that can really inspire confidence and a drive to, want to, match them in that regard. You see your leader leading the way, you want to be able to follow in their footsteps and have a similar impact. He's talking about that quite a bit, and right now we're not seeing it as nearly as much from Aaron as we're seeing it from the side of Zeta. So we need to see Aaron really start finding impact in these rounds, do some great shot calling, find some frags to really just start getting Global up to snuff and pull them back into this. Granted, I'll have to hold that thought as, it's going to be a rush play coming out. Side player does get flashed, pulls back. Carpe going to be taken down, and there's Aaron finding that initial kill.
There you go.
Fragment sent out, trying to zone him back, but you see Global just pulling away from this position, not wanting to test their luck anymore. They're happy with the kill that they got, and they go ahead and they back away.
Yeah, the pick and run. And this is precisely the right time to kind of highlight the point you're talking about. Aaron needs to pick it up. But the thing that I was really impressed with Aaron at Lock-In was his lurking. He was all over the map, hitting opponents in the backs at great times, especially on Lotus. I thought he was really, as not great as that map went for GE. I thought he was doing pretty well. So I like what they're doing here. Leave Aaron on his own, isolate him, and if he can start finding success, that could snowball GE further into rounds. But this time they poke out. There's no alarm bot here, so I think or maybe it already got cleared before I looked at the map and didn't look. But regardless, GE pulling back right into the heavily fortified B site. Oh, the alarm bot is down in B. Okay, by the doors. Got it. So it wasn't there. But I think that might have caused GE to kind of second-guess themselves here, where they thought it might have been a trap.
However, I mean, T1, despite the early kill, they do have the correct read on the site. Fight to try to delay the entry. Texture up over the top of the screen. Side player waiting for the push out, and will get the headshot. Follows up for a second one. And Intro's got covering fire. Soronsky gets taken down. And the advantage completely falls apart. Now with just 12 seconds remaining, they're backing away. Aaron tries to get the flank, tries to find another weapon, take it out of the hands of T1. But even Bazzi cannot survive. Gets picked off at the very end. And Carpe, the one casualty taken down within the first 10 seconds of the round. And T1 will go ahead and close out yet another one.
Yeah. What I think happened here is that they pushed towards or got outside of it, got to the spot where the alarm bot normally is. It wasn't there this time, and decided to rotate off of it and just, T1 guessed correctly with their positioning, and you run into that crossfire, you run into those defenses, no matter what. The defenders have a huge advantage in that situation. So T1 able to convert with some nasty shooting from Saya player up on Heaven.
One of the things I will say is that, again, back at Lock-In, I believe it was Rishi, we had an interview with him, and he had said, you know what, the team often starts slow. In their scrims, he was saying,
GE.
GE. We might drop our first map, but then we bring it back after that. And we kind of saw a bit of that.
Yeah.
There's should they drop this?
No,
Saya
absolutely not.
just finds 3. Texture with a nice timing, does come in off the flank. Still though, man advantage in the hands of T1. Pit going to be abandoned over in mid as they try to get themselves back into a retake position. For now, just waiting this out. Spike not planted. Bazzi going to go for it now.
Have to plan on the other side of this wall.
It's not a default, so the spray doesn't get any damage across. Playing it right on that front left corner. Just outside of Art. Flash out, Texture tucked away in the corner. Carpe finds one, yay, the push out, Carpe gets another one. As the Cove comes up, and Carpe's got the finisher. Quick, snappy headshots coming across. As T1 will now move up 6-0.
Yeah, like I said, there's no doubt about this guy's mechanics. They are absolutely crisp and clean. He is phenomenal. Now T1 guarantees themselves at worst a 6-6 half. So that was, Saya player getting aggressive with the op, and we've seen it tons of times with this guy. He is absolutely nasty with that operator. He's able to find some super early value. Before the flash, gets ahead of it, catches Aaron trying to cross through. Prowler follows it up, but it's a little late, and then Carpe just absolutely crisp with those Vandal headshots. Yeah, this is looking great for T1, man. I mean, it's we can only hope that it's just that kind of typical.
Okay.
Oh, that was a little bit off.
We play the highlight reel for Saya player. Like, look at these off shots. His timings are perfect, and then he just kind of whiffs an easy one there. Little jiggle peek still coming out. Knife to try to force him off his position. Doesn't have a tailwind available. Goes ahead, backs away. Munchkin looking to go ahead and retake, but now they know the presence of a second player. Saya again, not connecting the shot. Swaps to the shorty in case they decide to aggress on his position, but Texture's wrapping around the back, and it's an easy kill. Now an operator in hand. The A site widely open aside from this KJ util.
Love the change of pace here from the side of GE, recognizing that space was being left open by double doors. The Texture is able to take advantage of it, come through for the pinch, and get a really big kill. Now the lockdown, trying to set this up, you got to know that the back alley there is going to be a bit open here.
Yeah, it's a slow swing. As Munchkin, what is that?
Spike down A.
2 quick kills, and he just gets the read! What? Mows down Texture, the gun is gone, and Munchkin's on for the ace! He's pushing for it as well.
30 seconds left.
See Intro trying to set it up. Munchkin will fall, and Intro will just run him down.
I was so impressed with the way GE played that round. Again, you kind of recognizing that if the alarm bot was outside of Art, that they had some open space, and now I'm seeing pings out here from T1 identifying that space that Texture took to get that backstab onto Saya player, but then it's just this. I mean, you've got players stunned up here, Flash as well. I was going to say, I don't think he saw anything there. I think he just kind of sensed that, or maybe heard the updraft.
I think that they had heard the updraft. I think that there had been maybe a shot coming across as well. Either way, they just knew that Texture was going to be positioned there. Granted, yes, it's a 4K in an eco, but the manner in which Munchkin did it, so very impressive. Might not be the kill, and ooh, Bazzi, great answer back. Punishes Saya before he can dash to safety. I was going to say, Wronski does get tagged up, knocked down to 37 HP by that clipped shot through the wall. They at least still have the player alive. Texture now moving in, finds one. Carpe only going to be good to finish off the weakened KO.
Right there. Spike planted.
Zeta tries to get himself into a decent spot. Ball comes up, sprays across a little bit, trying to see if he can find any quick picks. Hope now down, instantly broken. Still have to be wary about this flank coming through from the lane. Zeta going to be good for one. They start getting the read on this, and Munchkin wins the fight. Texture going to be taken down, but do they anticipate that Aaron is also going to be in this position? They need to be watching for it. Munchkin gets at the half, tries to take the fight. Aaron will shut it down. Global Esports now on the board here in the 8th round.
Yeah, there's that Aaron flank that I've been looking for. Able to finally get some value out of it. So, huge win here for GE. Still making it really, really challenging was T1, pushing it to a 2v2 there towards the end. So, even investing a reckoning at that point, feeling like they had the confidence, they had the ability to potentially take that round away from GE and really put the nail in the coffin, but just barely. GE's able to hold on there with a really nice flank from Aaron, but man. All right, now let's see if that slowness is out of GE. Let's see if they've kind of found their groove, picked up some steam. You know, Batsy getting that early kill, really setting the tempo here for them. Got a couple ults. Oh no, he's so good.
Texture taken down, null command out, and Wronski, okay, he gets himself on the board. 0-8 prior to that, but what a great shot. Lockdown just going to be waited out as they continue to encroach upon this A site. Still have Zeta, still have intro. Back over towards B. Flash out confirms presence.
Yeah, caught Wronski there. Now you're seeing some pings coming out. I think maybe there might be worry about a flank coming through mid as I see a couple players pushing that way. Meanwhile, Munyet just trying to hold things down, looking for a aggressive push out of T1, maybe expecting some kind of pressure. It's not going to happen. Looks like they're going to set up for either a full 4-man push. A little bit of utility here. You do have the Nightfall for Batsy. Looks like he might be dialing that up.
30 seconds left.
Nightfall across. That's all the information the T1 need. Munchkin again sat back over at dugout as Carpe just pushes the smoke. Does find Wronski.
Time to hunt.
Shifts instantly in to the Trailblazer. Jump on the corner. Trying to get that stun across, can't make it happen. Intro now going to fall. Sprays out through the smoke. Bazzi managing to find two, finds a third. Carpe will shut him down. But now needs so much more. The 1v2, both players damn near full HP. Carpe down to 42, goes for the tap. They know that this isn't a commitment. They get the right read. The push comes out, the timing a bit off. As Aaron will go ahead, be the finishing blow. GE put a second round on the board.
Yeah, just phenomenal discipline from the side of GE on this. Holding back, even though Carpe has a really nice, cheeky little play. Find a pick out of the smoke. This backstab here finds great timing onto Wronski. Wronski kind of having to act as that entry, as the KO. Still though, Batsy, crisp. Really nice shooting here from Batsy. Starting to come alive. Big first kill in the previous round. Now he had 3 kills in this round. Aaron there for the cleanup, and GE seems to be finding some steam, finding some momentum. Texture back with the Blade Storm. Gonna go up and over.
I mean, Saya was swinging it back out to try to snipe him. Boldly played. Texture 5-9, I believe, at the moment. Need to see more impact from him. This is, again, potentially a similar story to Lock-In, where we saw a lot of roughness around the edges, not a lot of impact found, and then after they had gotten past that first map, it's when they really started to jive. And obviously, you don't want to have to rely on a map 2 all the time. Putting yourself down at match point. need to be able to pick up those first maps.
Trying to sneak Munchkin in here. There was a knife to check this. 2 kills, and they do convert.
Munchkin finds one. C is going to be burned. Munchkin cuts back across the opposite side of Hall. The push coming in and snaps onto Texture's head. Now spots out Bazzi. We'll start backing away. Aaron still rotating in to try to reinforce his position and make this a winnable situation. Spotted. It's not even Munchkin who finds the kill. He will get the third and final of the round as T1 stop the momentum build up.
I love the way T1 plays this. I love the protocols in place here for Munchkin. He misses. He dodges the 0 point that goes just outside of back sight. Immediately after it's done, they pop up the toxic screen. He moves back into back sight, and they have no idea.
Yeah.
GE's not ready for it at all, and Munchkin's able to find great kills. You know, again, you could see GE wasn't even looking in his direction because they thought it was clean. They thought it was clear because their 0 point had just touched it, but he found a perfect timing to sneak in there undetected, and that changed the round for T1. Well played by them.
Making their way forward. Heavy presence here towards A. At least want to grab the ult. Bazzi nearly with what, his third Nightfall in the half?
It's a lot. He's playing really good right now.
Pretty much guaranteed to have it now. Texture dashing forward. They are prepared for this. Double nanos. Gonna cut off any swing potential, but Texture still gets in there up in front of the wall, so he didn't necessarily expecting that position. Does end up getting clipped. Munchkin, however, looking to anchor around the back of Secret. Good for one, but Texture goes ahead and trades up, finding himself a second elimination. Spike now planted 4v3. Turns away from the flash, but just can't steady the game. Carpe swings around, finds one. Shot goes wide, side dashes out, keeps himself safe as the Nightfall is going to be committed. Manages to find 2. Saya, however, not clipped by this, still has his audio, but Aaron comes up with 2, now a third elimination. And again, that's what you want to see out of your IGL.
Perfect stuff here from the side of Texture in the beginning part of this round. Able to win 2 huge trades off the rip that give GE the sight. This is the Texture we're looking for. This is the guy who has been so consistent in Korea as a Jet player for so long. Previously for Damwon Kia. Now, of course, they're D+ Kia, but this is just huge here. You know, outdueling Munchkin, some help, some friends there. And then Saya player, another nice shot, but Aaron from range. Oh, what a tap.
Yeah, just swung right into it. Gets the setup to finish off Saya. Beautifully done there. GE now very much need to net this 4th round victory for them here right at the end of the half. Swing out Aaron, spotting everybody.
Oh boy.
Expecting the rush. Sends out at least 1 nano as the second, and they should know exactly where he's at, given that that dog did not clear him, and despite the fact that he opens up damage onto Carpe, takes him to 1 HP. Carpe will be able to finish it off. In the meantime, though, B site has been taken. GE are very much entrenched. I mean, look at this positioning. No one fanning out over towards main. They're all pushing towards spawn, getting ready to just clash completely against T1.
Yeah, I think they thought maybe the space would be open, and instead they're going to be challenged for it.
Taken down to 25 health. Tries to play forward. Zeta just bangs the box. Finds that kill. Texture going to be good for one. Pushes back out, but the trade up comes through. Now it's just Bazzi. And yeah, I mean, lockdown committed, doesn't matter. They would have flushed him out, but they find the kill all the same. T1 going to close out the first half on the defending side, 9-3.
I really like the IGLing for Zeta so far in this half. I mean, obviously it looks good because they're up 9-3, but the call here to push onto Aaron, knowing the situation, knowing that he had his lockdown and they could remove it, one of the most crucial pieces of the equation for any team is having that lockdown, right? One of the biggest ults in the game. Yep. And as soon as they know that they've got Aaron likely isolated, because you know, a lot of Killjoy players like to play off on their own, kind of holding down the flanks, they just push. And Aaron does everything he can to try to delay it with those nanoswarms, but it's just not enough. The commit is there from T1, and they are all in, and they succeed.
Yeah. Fortunately, gambled with cutting back into spawn rather than committing in towards mid. Wasn't sure if there was going to be that extra alert coming out of Art, so kind of felt like he was in a rough position. Had to just maybe cut across over towards B, get himself into shops, but there's just far too many people encroaching on his position. They just can't get away. So a very solid defending side here for T1. But this is also, historically, Aaron's strongest suit. So now we'll have to see how the shot calling is going to look as they swap this side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a key here for GE is, the defender side, kind of something they would like to lean into, but also getting that op into Texture's hands. If you guys aren't super familiar with Texture, he's a phenomenal opper, extremely consistent. He may not be the flashiest opper, he may not be a guy who's updrafting all over the place and doing wild stuff with it, but he's super consistent, he's super clean with it. He has always really impressed me with his sturdiness as an opper. So, the sooner you can get that into his hands, the better to try to turn this around.
And they definitely need it. They need that impact. And with some great moments in that first half to, be able to net them those 3 rounds. Texture as well, joining him right near the top. Here we go. At this point, I can do nothing but apologize, ladies and gentlemen. It's just it's just the way. We're just destined to have this happen.
It's just one of those days. It's just one of those days, man.
Yep.
It's all right though.
So we'll wait for an update, see what the issue is. Seems like it may be on the GE side. With Ronsky, figure out what's going on and get things underway.
Yeah.
I gotta say, obviously, a bit of a rough start here for Ronsky, but it is worth reminding everybody this is his first official, VCT event.
Right.
Especially as far as something, international, because this is very international. We have an extremely international league.
Right. He's played other stuff before, but
yeah, all of Asia involved in this, and granted, wasn't able to make it over to lock-in, didn't get to perform on that stage. We saw Rossi in his position. Now that Rossi can't be here, we see him stepping up. So this is a bit of a debut for him. So, there's obviously a lot of added pressures that are going to be coming in with that. We'll go ahead and take a look back at some of the replays from this first half, though. They're able to close out this last round.
I do want to give GE some credit here. Yes, the first 6-7 rounds, whatever it was, they lost in a row. Not ideal, not the way they wanted to go. But in the second quarter, we'll call it that, right?
Sure.
First half is 2 quarters, right? Two halves of a half.
The second half of the first half.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather say second quarter. In the second quarter, I thought they were making good adaptations. Again, playing off, even when they lost rounds, playing off that alarm bot positioning, trying to rotate in and around that, even though it didn't go their way. The ideas are solid, I think, fundamentally. And then I really like the way that Batsy, like you mentioned, he was really cycling through those nightfalls really quickly. And towards the end there, we saw one where he threw it out as part of their execute, and then he saved it the other time for part of their post plant to really help lock it down. So little things like that actually make a huge difference, because it throws your opponents off and it makes their ideas and their planning and their protocols much more difficult to follow through with. So there are some good things to take away here for GE, but right now T1 looks really good.
Yep.
I'm super impressed with the way they're being IGL'd by Zeta. I think he's calling round around some really good in-the-moment decisions. Everybody seems to be on board. The communication seems to be great. I'm seeing just commits to the right decisions. They're confident in that, like you were talking about. When your IGL's fragging as well, but also when he's making good calls, that sets your team up for success. It really just fuels that confidence.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about pressures, for both of these squads. I mean, let's talk about, pressures on T1. They come into this, an organization that, during their time trying to compete in North America, didn't find much success, didn't qualify for a couple of those challengers splits. Now they come in under this organization name, the most successful Korean org, period.
Ever? Yeah.
They find themselves on this team, back on Korean soil for the first time, with a roster that obviously had a lot of questions around it as far as the way that it was assembled. Carpe coming in, having not been playing Valorant, there was a lot of eyebrows raised at this. So there's an immense amount of pressure on these players to deliver. T1 is not only one of the most successful orgs, but by way of their success, also one of the largest fan bases in Korea. And when you suddenly come out and you're representing that, there's a lot more pressure applied to you than there might have normally been.
Let's call them passionate fans.
Yes.
Very passionate fans.
Very passionate fans.
I mean, and that's the thing for T1. Like, the pressure's there to not just to succeed because of the history, but because of the fan base to bring them here, to bring them to this team, to this esport, to this stadium, to come here and support them. So, yeah, tons of pressure on them, but I like a lot of the pieces they have in place. Particularly for me, it starts with Zeta. I think he is just an all-around one of the most solid players you'll find. Clearly now showing some diversity. With the way that he's able to change in his, not just his agents, but in his role on the team. and he's still performing very well. Saya player at his best. You know, we've seen some absolutely ridiculous stuff from him. Him where he just takes maps over by himself. So this team, I think the future is bright, and I've liked what I've seen so far from Intro, and I hope it continues.
Well, talking about that shot calling, let's see how Zeta fares now on the attack, because this is where I'm expecting to see a lot more of an impact, a lot more clean calls for the side of Aaron. This is his bread and butter. And already Ronsky getting things done. They lose out on texture, but Aaron arrives, finds a third elimination for the squad as Carpe tries to get the push on Abazi and ends up getting cut down. Intro now on his lonesome will fall. And very swiftly, Global will go ahead and start things off with a pistol win.
Intro just kind of got lost in the sauce there. He was in the middle of all of this, trying to find a flank, trying to find something, but Wrongski here off the back of that great haunt, able to find 2 kills. Hopefully that gets him going. You know, set up your players who are struggling a little bit, give them the opportunity to find some value, and Wrongski just kind of W-king in the back sight. Finds 2 huge kills to give. Wait, what happened to the score at the top? I looked at the top and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, we have to flip that around. Looks like we've realized it. It's having a little minor issue, and Texture with a nice early kill. Catches Saya player pushing out into B main. Quick shot across. As, hopefully we'll get that UI rebooted and reset for you guys here shortly. In the meantime, T1 trying to get set up for this attack on A. You can see all of that. KJ Util just dumped in front. See how they fare against it.
They're still not pulling the trigger just yet. It looks like they want to get a little bit deeper with Munchkin's push through Art, and now they're going to commit.
Okay, they managed to clear it all out, so Nano not going to be able to slow them up. The Star not going to be used. Aaron swinging around the corner of the Seas. Does get used, and he interrupts that plant, but Munchkin and Carpe finding another. Pull off the spike plant. Bazzi swings in. Intro now going to fall, and suddenly it's just Carpe left. But already, still decent damage found. 3 weapons knocked onto the ground. Not going to feel too bad, and see Carpe definitely going to be feeling a bit more confident with his Spectre in his hand, but Texture does swing out and finds that elimination.
Yeah, this is a pretty decent round for T1, all things considered. So, by the way, it's 5-9 the other way around, but
yes,
we know T1 is still ahead. Oh, okay, Texture gets the opening kill there at range on the B long. Batsy again being really solid here so far in this match. Carpe continues to show us that he is a no-doubter when it comes to an esports player. Still has a ton of talent, no matter what game it is.
I just want to point out that I should have mentioned it at the start of the map.
What's up?
But actually, first pistol loss that this roster has seen, that Global Esports has seen since becoming a Pacific franchise team.
Oh my God,
We're able to get every single pistol round versus Vitality.
Yeah.
It was the follow-up anti-ecos where things started to fall apart because the sheriffing coming out of Vitality was so damn clean. Intro watching, a little bit delayed reaction. Takes a smattering of damage, pulls back over towards Shops, and tries to go for that snake bite. Prowler's on the chase, but as is Texture, and Monnier's going to be the one finding the kill. Full flash in on the Texture, has to back away. In the meantime, Aaron and Bronski, now Bazzi falling down. Looking for the steady aim. Munchkin will be able to get him in the end. And T1 arresting control away from them again. Then we'll go ahead and close out the 3rd round of the half.
Yeah, there you go. Munchkin looking phenomenal today.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he struggled a bit at lock-in, right? And here he has looked really, really good. And that's encouraging here for T1. I think just freeing him up, maybe, the IGLing. You know, he's been in IGL in the past, so it's not like he hasn't had experience with that. But, before he moved to T1, I mean.
Sure.
But, freeing him up for this, now you're able to really get those lockdowns pushed through. He's only 1 away from that. See if they're going to make a play for the orb here, try to get him that lockdown, indeed. And then see how they want to play off of it. If they're going to commit to A site, there's already a push through Art towards mid, so a lot of info here on GE's side of exactly what they're doing.
You can see how wary they are about this approach just to get the orb. Didn't just go for it immediately.
Yeah.
They're suspecting that there was going to be some kind of resistance with GE knowing that he was going to have that lockdown available, but not found. Texture now back over from Art into the site, off at the ready.
Yeah, too much pressure here. So T1's just kind of, they're not liking this. They're not liking this quick adjustment, even though they invested a little bit of utility, not enough that they feel like they have to really overcommit. So let's see where they want to place this. If they go to B, where they want to place this lockdown, there's kind of that cubby right on the right-hand side as you push in that you could potentially get it in. If you get real deep, you can get into the back of the site. We want to see how this goes. Wrongski, a lot of pressure on him to make some value. He's able to buy a little bit of time. There goes that lockdown to that cubby I was talking about, right on the right-hand corner. And it looks like that is going to force GE back.
Yeah. Nade goes in. Munchkin just setting up the turret. They can move in for the plant. No one's going to be detained, but they're going to start swarming in back pretty soon. So they have to get this plant down ASAP. Hope going to be broken. Zeta taken down. The spike now not planted. Just 10 seconds remaining. Carby able to find one, and I think the T1 overcooked this. They waited far too long to try to go for the plant. And they completely let it slip out of their fingers, and Global absolutely grab onto the victory and do not let go.
A lot of trepidation there for T1 that entire round. You mentioned it early. After they got the orb, they still played it extremely cautiously. Like, they were still super nervous that somebody was going to make a play off of that. They never did. And in fact, GE's whole game plan there was, wait, post-plant. Let's wait and, see if we could we got the opportunity to disrupt the plant because it took so long for T1 to feel comfortable to get into that position where they could go for the spike plant.
Yeah. I can't help but wonder or suspect that this tactical timeout being called by T1 is simply Coach Autumn coming in saying,
guys, can we just actually plant off the lockdown? Don't wait until the lockdown is over. Move into the site, please.
Yeah, you guys can just, send a couple players ahead there and make sure it's clean.
Yeah, it's just far too delayed.
Yeah.
The Cove is not reliable enough to get you a plant under those circumstances when GE's going to be rushing you when they have rifles. If it's an eco round, if they have pistols, sure. The Cove, it will last a bit longer. Even then, still incredibly risky. But you've got no time left on the clock.
It's pretty hilarious now. Like, it did not take long for teams to just be like, Cove down, ping it, everybody shoot. And then it's gone.
Oh, yeah.
It does not last very long.
We saw it from one match to the next.
Yes.
With Talon playing DRX.
Exactly.
DRX were getting away with it versus C9, and then all of a sudden they go and they play up against Talon. Talon's like, oh yeah, they're doing that same thing. They're just planting on the corner at Icebox B site. They have a Cove. We'll spam through it. We'll kill stacks, and suddenly we'll win the round.
Yeah, who would have thought? It just, it does not last that long. I mean, the Cove is, really powerful when there's not, a full team or, 3 rifles pointing at it. One rifle it can hold up against. Once you start adding that extra firepower in there, I mean, it's really an interesting tool, and I think a lot of interesting stuff being used with it. But the coordination from our teams is, of course, top notch. So it doesn't survive too long. And oh my God, Carpe!
Okay. Carpe aim very good, as it turns out. Bazzi though also excellent.
Trying to juggle that op. Texture usually really good for it, but this time Carpe just better. Caught him a little bit off guard. You can see the crosshair placement from Texture was just a little bit off.
Saya up on top, smoking to dissipate. Bazzi able to stabilize, gets the second before Zeta can find the kill, and now he finds himself with 11 HP, and Munchkin split over towards A main. And Munchkin had the spike. Could potentially creep in and get a plant down and allow for Zeta to move up. But now they're just going to go for the crunch. As Munchkin will be good for one, ends up falling. Weapon retrieved. Zeta's trying to sprint, breaks line of sight, sends out the wall to slow. Fragment at the ready. Cove now thrown up. At least the plant will be coming through. He's just out of range, doesn't get caught. But this would surely be a miraculous clutch, and I don't think it's going to happen, and it won't. Wrongski dodges the bullets, finds the kill, gets the defuse, and that's going to give him the ult for the next round here as GE keep themselves alive.
Yeah, a pretty good round here for T1. Get a decent amount of value, get the plant down, 4 an eco, so can't complain too much about it. It all starts with Carpe here. I mean, again, the mechanics for this guy are absolutely otherworldly, and he catches Texture off guard. Texture not ready for Carpe to be that far pushed up, and the crosshair was off just enough, and Carpe was clean enough with his. He's able to get it done, but Batsy, man, he's looking really good today. This is that Batsy that, at times when he was on Slayers last year could absolutely start taking games over.
Yeah. I mean, you have to think T1, if they could just finish them off a little bit sooner, maybe they end up converting that round. And Bazzi, good to stabilize, get that spray down. Instrumental in the round victory. Intro now, creeping across, Texture seemingly having a perfect idea of this. As his crosshair placed just perfectly to play whack-a-mole with this Viper.
See if he's got it. Carpe has his ult behind this. Going to use the Trailblazer. They're kind of cutting off angles here. This is a pretty interesting harbor wall. They used it to check two corners, right outside of mid doors and right outside of Art, to know how much space they had. Now they're going to use the Cascade to try to push through. But I did see, I was going to say, Munyet had pushed up right towards the doors. Gets that pick.
Finds that kill. I mean, he's expecting some pressure coming out of Art. Backs away, but now we'll know. They're playing in through the doors as that flash does not connect from Carpe. With the audio cue. Zeta trying to get the wall up in time, but it's just going to take way too long. So it just has to wait out the 0 point, or rather the null command. That's going to take a while.
30 seconds left.
It lasts a bit.
Flash now burns.
I've got your trail.
There's going to be just enough time for this.
Looking for the blind spray. Texture going to be taken down. That's Hall's cleared out. Seeker connects. Runsky having to walk across the bite. Cope now down again. Time running low, but this time not necessarily in position for the punish RGE. So the spike gets planted. Reckoning now invested. Zeta just having built that up off the plant. The Munchkin spotted. Munyet spams him down through the box. Now sends up the Cosmic Divide. No one is in front of this. No one is playing back Hall for the side of T1. Carpe has to be the difference maker. He finds one and narrowly survives. Backs away, 30 HP in his hands. Carpe could potentially be the one to make the call for if they're on the spike, but it won't even matter. They just push their way in. They force the issue. T1 again pick up a round win.
I am flabbergasted. I mean, T1 there has nothing but a Carpe flash for any kind of utility and the heal, but that's not important to this situation. And Carpe has just been absolutely insane. Munyet there trying to do what he can, but this guy is firing on all cylinders. Zeta 2 here just comes in at the perfect timing. They time it's a 1, 2, 3 go. They push together, and that's huge. And you can hear them in the end of that comms. They are fired up.
Now 11-7. One more here for the side of T1 to take this to map point. Texture, no weapon in hand, just have that Blade Storm. Carpe gets a pop flash out. We'll find one yet. Ends up falling, and Texture overheating a bit, tries to go for the pursuit, and Saya player is able to reset the aim. Gets the one-tap kill.
There.
2 players down. T1, they do lose out on their flashes. That does make it a bit more difficult to approach some of these sites, but the same could be said for GE not having those defensive smokes.
I like the idea here from GE to try to push out a little bit, to try to take some space. Right there. But T1's been also kind of keen on taking a lot of these early pushes in towards Art, in towards mid. So this time GE is going to come out on the better side of it. A duel coming forward.
Bazzi needs to win this. He's good for one. And somehow Runsky just narrowly misses out. Just firing millimeters away from Munchkin's head. That leaves Aaron, IGLG, now
left.
in a 1v3 scenario. Low HP on Saya, but he's not going to be the first challenge. It is going to be Munchkin just around the corner, and clearly not expecting it. T1 will close out the round and now take this 12-7.
Yeah, T1 looking so good here. Good to see Global Esports start to punch back, to start to find some kind of rhythm. But Munchkin has been really damn good this map, and continues to be so. But this round just really comes down to this mid push from Global Esports that just didn't quite convert. So now they're on not great money here for this round. A Guardian, a Spectre, a Stinger. They invested completely in that previous round, so the economy here very, very slim.
I'm curious if it's a let's move on, we typically do start slow type situation, but we're not seeing that timeout call coming in.
Yeah, that's true.
We just had, what, one apiece, I believe.
I believe you're right.
So I wonder if it's just a GG, let's go next, let's not linger on this too much. Really try to overcook something that's already burnt.
can you? If it's already burnt, I mean, you start overcooking it, then you're getting into.
You're still going to start a fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what you don't
You're
want to
going
do.
to burn your house down. That's not ideal.
Ooh, good spray.
Yeah.
Texture taking minimal damage. Wronski needs to be instrumental here. Guardian in hand, though. Sends out a couple taps, backs away. Texture finds one, finds the other, snapping onto Carpe, snapping onto Munchkin. He keeps them in this. The lockdown now invested. Zeta still going to try to go for the plant. Limited time, but doesn't have very far to go to exit from this lockdown, so they go ahead and pull away. It was used so deep back towards the spawn. They get themselves out. They check the flank. Nothing found. A single bite available from intro. Is it enough?
Yeah, this lockdown gave him enough room to push this angle. So now they got to get there, but that spike is pretty deep on the edge.
Cease connects. The bite being waited out. Tap on. Monier holding for it. Gets it at least a half, but he's just going to be holding this. They have to spray him up. Intro's going to be good to find one, but they can't interrupt it. The defuse comes through just a fraction of a second too late.
I wasn't sure for a moment if he was going to get it because he died like right as he finished it, and I was like,
Close.
Did it go? Did it not? Ooh, boy. Well, okay, GE barely holds on, and now they can at least somewhat stabilize the economy here, but Texture just absolutely filthy on point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if Texture one fewer kill, this map is over.
Yes.
So, stepping up right in the moment that he needed to, but yeah, I mean, you can see just how close it was. T1 not going to be given the map victory quite just yet. Still need to work for it. Weapons, though, obviously, still not great.
Still not great.
Wronski for now.
My ult's ready.
Still having that Guardian. 2 Spectres here. No ults to speak of. Whereas there are 3, now 4 available as Carpe gets the Seekers online. T1 likely to invest all of his to end this.
Yeah, absolutely. You got everything to play with here. See how they get it done. They're going to open up the site, throw down the cove, get the plant down here. Munchkin looking to see if anybody's going to try to disrupt.
Takes quite a bit of damage, has to back away. He does have a lockdown. He's going to use this at a little bit more of an unorthodox position. On the 8, does he fall for this, though? The bite comes down just to try to stop him from being able to push in, get that destroy. Hit now, invested on the back end. Ping's coming down. Carpe searches for some tags onto Bazzi. Doesn't find him, though.
Oh, side
1
players.
HP! He's that wins this!
How?
That's going to take it down. The lurk from Zeta is beautiful. Finds Monier. Now it's 3v4. The pit's still up, the spike ticking away. They need to get onto this. They're running out of time. It seems nigh impossible. And yeah, with an nano ticking, that's just going to do it. Intro will spray down the final 2 players as T1 take Pearl 13-8.
A really good showing here for T1. Again, a lot of changes in a lot of different areas for this team, and a lot of it looks pretty darn good. It looks like they really addressed their problems, at least so far, at least one map. I know it's not a ton to go by, but from what we saw from this map, you know, the changes seem to at least initially be working. That's a good sign. GE, I thought this was going to be a tough, you know, first map no matter what. Even though it's their pick, you know, it's coming into, again, a team that has made a lot of changes, so it's tough to get a read on exactly what they're going to be bringing at you, how much they've prepped. Like, you have to assume that Pearl's going to be the map they're going to be gunning for. So you can, you know, as T1, you can float that map and practice some stuff, and you can see that they absolutely did.
Really nicely done here from the side of T1. But again, I want to know, is that prophecy that Rushi spoke of back at Lock-In going to come through yet again? Do we just see them drop the first map and then run it back on their opponent's map pick? We'll have to just wait and see. Obviously, that's going to be Haven, a map that we have not yet seen from Global, and I believe also haven't seen it from the side of T1. So this is going to be somewhat new territory. I'm excited to see who's going to be able to walk away with this one. But for now, I mean, all of the things that we were concerned about after their showing versus Furia from the side of T1, it feels like it's washed away in this series a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
We like the Munchkin that we just saw is like the upside down world version of the one that we saw at Lock-In. Whatever they did with the Munchkin from Lock-In, I don't care. Wherever you lock them up, you can leave them because this version of Munchkin looks a hell of a lot better. I'll say that much. But I do want to see GE be able to have that rally back to be able to make this a more competitive series. Take this second map. Take Haven away from T1. Knock some wind out of their sails. Take the breath out of their lungs. Ride this into a third map to try to close it.
I agree with you. I think it could happen. I mean, again, you can see that GE, after those initial 6 rounds where they kind of slid, they immediately were basically going blow for blow with T1 the rest of the way. So you feel like GE's got their groove. They've got a lot of the problems that they had at the beginning fixed. So let's just see if they can find that supposed magic that they've got as the round goes on. And I've heard that from other teams as well, that they do struggle in the beginning of their matches.
Well, we'll see what happens. For now, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. And on the back end of that, the desk will be breaking down the action from map
showing us the pool that he's been working on. It's Breach now.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun to see him now over here on Breach and bringing Ban back in here. T1 obviously still confident they can win with a new addition on the team, swapping out Intro here, but this is going to be fun to see what he can do. And I guess it's also kind of a safe swap too. If they lose here and they need to flip another player back in, they can do it. They'll still be 1-1.
Yeah, and then in terms of composition, Global Esports going with their own interpretation with KO and Sky for the double initiators instead of the very, very traditional Sova and Breach. I mean, the Sky and KO, they've been used in different combos as well here on Haven, but oftentimes it's always going to be 2 initiators, but it's going to be much more flash heavy on the side of Global Esports, so I expect them to play much more aggressively than perhaps the side of T1, where they really have to work off of card-based utility alone to set up that entry and that attack.
We're so close to getting into this. As much as I'm confident T1 is probably going to take this 2-0, I would so very much welcome this going 1-1 and really having a long, drawn-out series where we can really explore T1 versus Global Esports and see everything they've got.
And now that we have a little bit of time before we jump into the game, just to kind of go back, harken back to what you were talking about, Victoria, where you asked about SK Rossi and how does that impact Global Esports. I mean, listen, not only is he the star player, but he's been part of that brand, and he's been kind of where that team revolved around, right, as they were rebuilding coming into VCT Pacific. So in terms of just familiarity, I think he's going to bring so much. He also seems to have so much positive energy and just this way of bringing the team together whenever they're playing the matches, whenever they're at an event. So I'm sure, regardless of actual who's performing well and not and which compositions they use for further matches, I'm sure Global Esports as a whole, they can't wait to have him here in Seoul with them, right? Even just to have him there, no matter who's playing on stage, to really bring the team together, all of their roster. I mean, that's the whole point of having a deep roster, is that they're always there to support each other, to have this availability per map, per opponent, and perhaps on different matches.
To what you were talking about earlier, Victoria, with Rossi not being here, I mean, there's so much promise here for Global Esports. I think always the first game in the first best of 3, bad plays can be forgiven, right? And they already made up for that. They already turned it into a fairly close series. But, I mean, imagine what it's going to be like when Rossi comes down here. That guy is such an inspiration. He's such an incredible player.
He's also so young.
And I also feel like he's a guy who's going to thrive in an environment like this.
Yes, yeah, he can really feed off of the energy, right? And he can really drive that home. But again, I mean, Global Esports overall, they look like they're ready to get into game 2. So hopefully, their morale is in a fine state to really kick things off here on Haven.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking good. It is still just day 1, after all. There is a long road ahead, at least 8 weeks before we go into playoffs. They're doing solid, even without SK Rossi. But it will be good to have him here in Seoul.
Yeah,
South Korea.
And that's the thing with Global Esports. Sometimes I have trouble in terms of trying to figure out, like, what could be the best roster for Global Esports, just because it's like, well, if one person plays, other players have to sit out, and that always feels bad. It's like, okay, well, Ronsky, it's great to see Ronsky. It's great to see him really getting used to it and try to show his highest potential. But then we're like, oh, we miss SK Rossi. SK Rossi plays, we're like, well, now we don't see Ronsky, or maybe another player like Bazzi or whoever. And it's a star-studded lineup from different countries. So, again, that's to their boon. If they can make that work, they can really slot anybody in, and they could become a powerhouse here in Pacific.
But in one way, I guess, for Global Esports, it's really good practice, right? Because, without Rossi being here, they're going to have to use the lineup they've got. This is really good exposure. This is probably one of the stronger teams over here in our tournament. And, going up against T1 and getting this kind of practice in is really good. But, yeah, once we get him back in here, I would have to imagine he's not going to be sitting out in any of the games.
I mean, he thrives off of that stage energy, so it'd be great to see him just have that opportunity here on this amazing stage, by the way.
I mean, it's a really good point, though. I mean, they don't have him here as a crutch, and or he doesn't become a crutch, so to speak, and I think that's great. I mean, the team is waiting now, and this must be interesting as well for them to be able to pace themselves out going through best of 3.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this a lot. Offline experience does matter, right? And
sure.
You often question, like, well, how much does it really matter? I mean, it's just a new environment, right? Regardless of the actual, whether it's the white noise, the crowd, whatever, or just the lights and everything, all of that is very new, right? It's the same if you had to play on your, like, friend's computer, or here in Korea, if you're playing at a PC cafe versus at home. Like, it is different, right? No matter what you say. So whoever is more familiar with it will have an advantage in the fact that the time for them to warm up is just going to be shorter.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, everybody was playing this at home when it came out. We were not at live events. There were not big public gatherings during the launch of Valorant. And so, I've always felt that at least in Asia, the Koreans had a little bit of an edge in that because not only do we have live events out here, but we have, weekly live events. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how global esports slowly acclimates to this.
That's right. And I'm getting input now. We are ready to go. So I'm going to toss this over to the casters, Achilles and Paperthin. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Ready at least to toss it over to us, give them a little bit of a reprieve, even though we have had our fair share of fill time. But
yeah, it was their turn.
Yeah, we're just, they've been going on. They talked about just about everything that they can as far as game relations are concerned. So we'll come back over here to guide everybody back into the game once we are ready. So we're still just working through the remainder of this tech issue, and hopefully we can get things underway pretty damn soon. Because obviously, getting late into the evening, and we're still raring to go to see how this is going to conclude. Is it going to conclude here? Is it going to be that 2-0 that Tasteless is talking about, that he's expecting to see from T1 now that they're moving over to their map pick? Or will GE be fired up? Will they find their groove a bit as they go into the second map once again?
Yeah, I'm definitely a little bit concerned for GE just in that the coordination for T1 is really, really good. Sure. It seems like they're really kind of all on a similar page. They all have pretty good confidence. Again, like I've been saying the whole match, what I've seen so far is they have confidence in Zeta's calls, and they are committing fully to these calls, and that's really important to have a team that understands and trusts your leader and to be able to play off the back of that, because if not everyone is on the same page doing the right things at the right time, then the round just unravels in a heartbeat. It has to be a well-oiled machine. It has to be, everybody's has to be all in. And so far, from what I've seen, it seems to be mostly the case. There's been a few shaky rounds here and there that happens, but overall, I thought T1 looked pretty darn good. GE just, again, you can see that they have good protocols in place. It just takes them a little while to kind of get things going. But I also want to say I'm super blown away with Carpe.
Yeah. There's a reason.
He keeps getting better, and that's scary.
There's a reason why they're highlighting him there on the desk, is because this is the guy who had the most eyes on him coming into the game. Obviously, the other players were very much known quantities. We have seen everybody else on this team perform before. Sure. Maybe to a lesser extent, Ban. Maybe some curiosities around that, and how he was going to, be breaking out in, in this tier 1 scene, shifting over, given that he is, a North American native, now moving over to Korea and whatnot, how that was all going to play out. But Carpe very much was the one of, what are the expectations for this guy, given that the entire time that he was competing in Overwatch, he was not playing this game. So it's been a very short turnaround for him, and the fact that he's looking this crisp is impressive. We already knew the aim wasn't going to be a concern, but so far it does seem like the util usage has just been rapidly built up. It's almost like he stole that magical remote control from that awful movie Click with Adam Sandler, and he's been able to fast forward enough
is really bad
to be able to. Yes, it is. Don't even try to argue in the chat.
Yeah, I've seen enough of this internet banter,
but yeah, it's like he fast forwarded himself to just. Or no, he went into a hyperbolic time chamber to use a more amicable and less argumentative.
Oh yeah,
example.
If we just go for Dragon Ball Z references, we're safe.
No one's going to get upset about DBZ.
No.
But yeah, it's been damn impressive because there was so many doubts as we were, looking at things, in that initial debut for them. So it was rough. But I am being told that we're going to need a little bit more time. So we'll just go ahead, step away to a commercial break, put up a timer, and then hopefully we'll be back here pretty damn soon to jump into the game and see if T1 closes this out. So don't go anywhere.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bad chick. All the boys stare, can't help it, it's a habit. Clothes that she wears, short skirt and a jacket. I just wanna get her all alone on a mattress. I just wanna have it, I just gotta have it. Rumors all around say her body is fantastic. All natural, not a piece of fur is plastic. Head to her toes, yeah, they say that she's a latch. Yeah, the whispers all around say she has a reputation. Don't believe it till I see it, so I want a demonstration. And I've always learned it better with a hands-on education. So I need a private session if you get what I am saying. And they say that she's not easy, no, she's really complicated. But that only makes it better, and it's got me so fixated. And I'm not the type to wait around, I've never hesitated. But she's got me captivated, so the game, I'm gonna play it, yeah. She's got a body like a coffin. She likes to keep the party going. Got me feeling lonely. I want that body, baby, show me. She's got a body like a coffin. She likes to keep the party going. These rumors got me feeling lonely. I want that body, baby, show me. I heard you look good when you're undressed. I heard you like to get away. I heard you like to stay out late. I heard you had a couple boyfriends. I heard they didn't treat you right. I heard you're hated by your girlfriends, 'cause all the guys want you tonight. Yeah, they say she's too hot, they say she's too cold. Where she came from, nobody really knows. They say she looks young, but say she acts old. From everything I've heard, she gets out of control. And all the boys say she was sent from the heavens, but I'm not too sure that this girl is a blessing. She's got the devil's eyes, and they'll cut you like a weapon. She's stuck in my mind like a bad obsession. Got bad intentions. She got a body like a coffin. She likes to keep the party going. These rumors got me feeling lonely. I want that body, baby, show me. She's got a body like a coffin. She likes to keep the party going. These rumors got me feeling lonely. I want that body, baby, show me. I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I'll make mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning. These ladies know that I'm sinning, and this is just the beginning. I'm closing in the night inning. There ain't no point in resisting. Living life like a dream, live it right, that's the thing. Every night got a team, I've been tied to the scene. Out on stage, here I'm screaming, okay, it's a dream. And I pray as a team, one day it'll be me. If I want it, then I'll get it. Head down, don't regret it. Push myself to the limit. If I play it, then I win it. I'm just saying, I'm just living for today. For a minute, I don't stay, I just visit. Have no shame, I admit it. You can count on me to see see if I succeed, to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now. I swear to God, man, I'ma make it soon. Silence all the haters as they see us making moves. I do what I want, so I got nothing to prove. Staying motivated, teaching others what to do. I'm staying focused, my mind is open. They start to notice that I'm in motion. There is no potion, you're not just chosen. It takes devotion to stay composed, man. Never stop, there ain't no time to fall. Try to live, get it up, you got one life to ball. Thinking big, never small, cause you gotta want it all. When you finally get that call, you get ready, take it on. Need a hand out, I already stand out. Starting to advance now, ready to expand now. You don't have a chance now, cause we're in demand now. Make it by the grand now, feeling in command now. They're looking right at me, to see if I succeed, to see if I